Hi, this is Margo. This is Wednesday evening, July 3rd, 2019, 6:02 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So, I just wanted everyone to see what's still going on with sulfur dioxide. This is the Pacific view. That mass is still moving around over the Arctic, and it's covered up Alaska right now and moving. It's a whole thing. We have I think it looks like some new releases in the South Pacific, probably from earthquake activity that's going on there, and this is left over from the volcanoes that went off recently. And if we look at the North Pole view, this is how it's spreading out. This mass, it doesn't even look like it's really dissipating or, getting that much lighter. It's dissipating somewhat, but it's this dark mass, and it's coming all the way across the Arctic over to Greenland and Canada and down into Canada, and here's where it's dispersed somewhat and moving across. It's kind of hanging out in the Pacific, moved across the United States, northern United States and southern part of Canada, all the way across, and across the Atlantic Ocean even. And then this right arm is spreading out over Siberia and Russia, China, and so on and so forth. And originally this was from the Rykoki volcano explosions that happened on June 21st and 22nd. So that's kind of a long time for this to be still well-formed, a well-formed sulfur dioxide mass. So, and there it is. This is from today. It's kind of disturbing to see that, but I've never seen sulfur dioxide like this before. Now we're going to do a volcano and earthquake report. So first we're going over to Volcano Discovery, and this is their volcano report for Wednesday, July 3rd. Last updated at 2100 p.m. for active volcanoes activity that's gone off today. And they've already put up a page for July 4th because they're on UTC time. And but we're going to look at this one for July 3rd. So here's a picture of the active volcanoes around the world today. And one of the big news items is that Stromboli in the Aeolian Islands from Italy exploded today. And it says, as night falls, one can see strong glow from the craters and continuing frequent typical Strombolian explosions of medium to large size, but within the levels of activity often observed at the volcano. A weakly alimented lava flow is present on the upper Sierra del Fuoco. Today's larger blast seems to have removed all or most of the large cinder cone that had dominated the northern crater area. The blast itself was likely the consequence of a gas-rich surge of fresh magma that quickly rose and exploded at the vents immediately before its rise had pushed the overlying magma column out, which explains the lava flow observed before the eruption. Unfortunately, today's eruption has also claimed at least one life. According to news reports, a tourist was killed by a falling bomb and another one was injured. So here's another article. A series of two very large explosions occurred this afternoon at the volcano. They probably rank among the largest recorded at the volcanoes in decades. At approximately 1651, 1654, and 1703 local time, it seems that the western or otherwise the central vent produced powerful eruptions, in particularly the latter two, which ejected glowing bombs all over the summit area and produced an eruption column that rose approximately 3 to 5 kilometers. So you can read more there. Now let's look at these pictures. This is from Stromboli from today. Look at that, it's really blowing up. Here's another picture. And it said that I saw one article that said that people were diving into the Mediterranean Sea to get away from the lava that was raining down. Here's another picture of Stromboli today. Now this is okay. Now we're into the next article. Next, we're looking at Kamchatka, the Klushevskoy volcano. They issued a report, an eruption reported on that one today. And then Shivelush, explosive activity continues. The VAC Tokyo warned about a volcanic ash plume that rose up to estimated 13,000 feet or 4,000 meters. Then moving on down to the Philippines, Mayon at Luzon Island. The volcano's been showing signs of unrest and is likely preparing for its next eruption, although it is left to speculation when it will start. During the reported 24-hour interval, the monitoring network recorded 7 volcanic earthquakes and 1 rockfall event. Weak to moderate emission of white steam-laden plumes were observed. Sulfur dioxide emissions were measured at an average of 680 tons per day on June 14th, and precise leveling data obtained on April 9th through 17th indicate a slight inflation of the edifice relative to March 2020 through 26. This is consistent with continuous GPS data showing that the edifice is still inflated since June 2018. Then Krakatoa in Indonesia, it erupted. Eruption reported by ground observer. Dukono, explosive activity continues. Volcanic ash advisory center. Darwin warned about a volcanic ash plume that rose up to estimated 7,000 feet or 2,100 meters. Mauna Loa, that's at the Big Island of Hawaii. The alert level for that volcano has been raised to yellow 2 days ago. This doesn't mean that an eruption is expected to occur in a near future, but acknowledges that the volcano is currently preparing itself for its next eruption, which will come sooner or later, but currently without possibility to indicate a specific time frame. Meaning it's going to blow, they just don't know when. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory, or HVO, reported that for the past several months, earthquake and ground deformation rates at Mauna Loa volcano have exceeded long-term background levels. An eruption is not imminent and current rates are not cause for alarm. However, they do indicate changes in the shallow magma storage system at Mauna Loa. Popocatépetl in central Mexico is still erupting. Fuego in Guatemala, explosive activity continues to 15,000 feet or 4,600 meters. Sangay in Ecuador, Reventador in Ecuador, explosive activity continues. They had an ash plume that rose up 16,000 feet or 4,900 meters. And Sabancaya in Peru, explosive activity continues. And they had an ash plume that rose up to 30,000 feet or 9,100 meters. So there's ours. So here's currently erupting over on the left, summary for July 3rd. Whole bunch of them. Also, Yasur at Vanuatu. And then here's our eruption warning or minor activity on the right hand side. So we can see that the earth is springing leaks. And we can see just from the sulfur dioxide on cams that's definitely you know, with it all red like that, the earth is definitely springing leaks. Now here's the Klyushevskoy volcano in Russia. It's on the Kamchatka Peninsula. Looks kind of cloudy there. Here's Shivelush, that's on Kamchatka as well. We can see some ash coming up there, a plume. Here's Krakatoa. That's just off the coast of Indonesia there. Here's Dukono. It's part of the Philippines, I think. And here's earthquakes under Mauna Loa during the past week. Well, we've been seeing a lot of earthquakes there, and I've been reporting on them from the USGS site. And here's strong emissions from Northwest Crater, simultaneous with eruption from a central crater vent. Doesn't say which volcano that is. Here's Stromboli again. And so on. There's our map for today. So we can see they're all around this ring of fire. And then a few, now here's Stromboli and Etna here in the Mediterranean. And then there's one up here in kind of Eastern Africa, and then one here in the Congo. So there's that. So let's move on over to our earthquake report. We've got a lot of earthquakes to look at today. But before that, we're going to check out Oroville with the latest reading. The Oroville lake level at 6 p.m. Pacific time. It's still going down. It's down to 893.26 feet. And it looks like the outflow right now is about 7,500 CFS. They did have it up to 8,800 earlier today. And the inflow at 6 o'clock was 4161. And at midnight, it was 893.73. And yesterday it went down 0.60 feet. So a little over half a foot. So it's going down. They've increased the outflow through the Hyatt power plant. And they're not using the main spillway for whatever reason. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so we have USGS pulled up here. We're showing all magnitudes for the last 24 hours, and we're showing 352 earthquakes worldwide. That's definitely an uptick. Of those, 51 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So we can see a whole bunch of these larger ones are in Alaska, first of all, and then they're coming down this red line, this right side of this Pacific plate, all along there, and then this part of that ring of fire. Then we've got some larger ones in the middle of the United States as well. But we've got this huge cluster up here at Koktovik, Alaska. So let's see what's about to come off the map. That's not until 7:53 in Cushing, Oklahoma. So we've got time to start wherever we want today. I'm going to start down here in the South Atlantic. We've got a 5.0 near Viscoy Island, South Georgia, and the South Sandwich Islands. This came in at 1:32 this morning, 51 kilometers deep. And all these times I'm telling you are Pacific time, because that's my time zone. Next, in South America, we're seeing a 4.4 near Calingasta, Argentina at 5:01 this afternoon, 117 kilometers deep. Then a 4.3 near Iquique, Chile at 5:12 this afternoon, 106 kilometers deep. Then up here in Colombia, a 4.5 near Piedecuesta, Colombia at 12:40 this morning, 150 kilometers deep. Then off the coast of Nicaragua, a 4.7 near Jiquilillo, Nicaragua at 2:39 this morning. Then here's a 4.2 on land in Guatemala near San Luis Iscan at 3:13 this morning. Then another one on land, a 4.6 near Zaltianguis, Mexico at 11:09 last night. Then coming across the Pacific, we've got 3 here near in the Fiji Islands, a 5.8 near Nadoy Island at 8:45 last night, very deep, 574 kilometers deep. So that was large and deep, 5.8. And that will definitely make the tectonic plates move around the planet. And then here's a 4.5 right next to it at 11:23 this morning, 574 kilometers deep again, very deep. And then a 4.5 south of the Fiji Islands at 3:57 this afternoon, again very deep, 569 kilometers deep. So 3 deep ones right there. So this is showing extreme activity. Now look how vacant it is over here in Japan and the Philippines and all around here. Now we've got a couple on land in China, a 4.9 near Changning, China at 9:26 last night, and a 4.2 near Pangnag, China at 12:32 this afternoon. Then up here we have one right at the end of the Aleutian Islands. This is off the coast of this Russia Kamchatka Peninsula. We've been seeing them here recently. A 4.9 at 12:06 this afternoon. So that's all of the international earthquakes. So now let's go to all magnitudes, and we're going to look at Hawaii first. And we're showing 4 here today. Now here's Mauna Loa, that article at Volcano Discovery. They were saying that Mauna Loa is preparing to blow up again or erupt. And we've been seeing earthquakes in between Kilauea and Mauna Loa. And we've been seeing earthquakes that were at a negative depth, like this one, this 1.0. It says Ho Now Now Na Poo Poo, but it's actually at Mauna Loa. And see, this is at a negative 1.1 kilometer depth. So that means that the magma is moving up in the chamber and causing the earthquake above the ground. That's the epicenter, it's above the ground. And this came in at 6:37 last night. Here's a 2.1 Pahala, a 1.9 Kilauea, and a 2.4 Kilauea. And that 2.4 came in at 5:12 this afternoon. And here's the crater. So this was on the right hand side, or the south, kind of the south flank, south side of Kilauea. And this was on the flank of Kilauea too. So there's that one. Now in the Caribbean, we're seeing 12 here today. So we'll just call them off. A 2.4, 2.4, 1.1, 3.5, that was in the ocean, 3.7 in the ocean, 2.3, 3.4, 2.6, 1.2, 3.2, 2.1, and 1.7. So we're seeing some higher ones here, although we have been seeing some 4s over here recently too. But these larger ones were all in the ocean. It's just amazing to me how so many of these happen in the ocean. And the ones that happened on land were small and people probably didn't even feel them. So no damage, but it's showing movement, showing activity. Now let's come on up to Alaska. It's the star today with all of its activity. It's got 154 earthquakes today, so that's more than we normally see. And we're seeing some pretty large ones, and we've got a huge cluster up here at Koktovik, right in the northern part of Alaska. Got another cluster happening at Kobuk. Then we've got some activity going on down here in the Cook Strait, and then got a bunch of ice quakes in the armpit, and some coming down along this red line here. So let's start with just seeing what's 2.5 magnitude and higher here in Alaska. We're showing 25, 2.5 magnitude or higher, so that's a very high number for here. First we've got this 4.4 at False Pass, so that's in the Aleutian Islands. Then on this east side we have a 3.9 near Craig. And here's a 2.5 magnitude ice quake at Yakutat. And then we've got a 2.9 at Coho and a 4.7 at Coho and a 2.6 at Redoubt Volcano. But what you'll see, now these are just the larger ones, so what you're going to see when we get to all magnitudes is a whole clustering going on here. Here's a 2.7 Sutton Alpine, and then look at Koktovik. Look at this one. This is the largest one. It was a 5.3 that came in at 9:38 last night. So we got 19 here that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So I'll just call them off. It started with a 5.3 at 9:38 last night, 20 kilometers deep. Then a 4.6 at 9:58, 2.9, 3.0, 2.8, 3.2, 2.7, 2.6, 2.7, 3.3, 2.6, 2.6, 2.7, 2.5, 2.6, 3.6, 2.8, and 2.8. And that last one came in at 3:47 this afternoon. Now there is some speculation, I don't know if this is true or not, that I don't know if these earthquakes up here are connected with the Russian submarine or some kind of submarine thing that happened in the Arctic. I know that there was a there was something that happened off the coast of Iran and involving Russia, a Russian submarine. But I think there might have been something up here in the Arctic. I read that too. That something might have happened off the coast of Alaska between the U.S. and Russia with some submarines. So I don't know. I don't know if these are connected to that, or if it's just because of the eclipse or Planet X, or I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. But when we zoom in here for all magnitudes, we've got 59 here. And we normally see maybe 3 or 4 and not very big ones. And so these started at 9:38 last night. Then we've got some already read off, all the 2.5 magnitude and higher, and then they go down to like a 1.6. It looks like that's the lowest, between 1.6 and low 2s after that. And some are at the surface. Like this is at 0 kilometer depth. Here's another one, 0 depth. And then we've got 35 kilometer depth, 11 kilometer depth, 14. So it's kind of all over the map on the depth here. But they're still coming in. There's this 2.1 came in at 5:34 this afternoon at 0 depth. Now we've got 12 at Kobuk today. 2.1 is the largest one here. We've got a 1.9 near Nome at 0 depth, a 1.9 near Unalakleet, and here's a 1.4 at Ruby. So we're coming down through the state. Here's Fairbanks area. We can see they're peppered around. Here's Anchorage. There's a 2.0. Now look here at this Cook Inlet. Now here's the Redoubt and Old Iliamna volcanoes are right along in here. So here was that 4.7 at Coho, and then there were a couple more there, and so they're kind of moving out from there. Then we've got some smaller ones on these Aleutian Islands coming down and so on. Now here in the little armpit, look at all these ice quakes. Look at this cluster. All of those are ice quakes except for this 1.9. But these are all ice quakes, 1.1, 1.7, and so forth. And then we've got some more ice quakes going on over here. 13 earthquakes here, including, they're mainly ice quakes. Looks like only 2 were really earthquakes and the rest were ice quakes. Then, we saw that one. Now let's come on down into the lower 48. And we're seeing 169 here today. So we're going to start over here in this New Madrid hazard area, a 2.5 near Pocahontas, Arkansas at 1:01 this morning. That's gotten up there. And then in Oklahoma, we've got 4. We've got a 2.7 at Cushing that came in last night at 9:53. And then 3 at Moreland, a 0.3, 1.3, and a 2.0, all stacked up right there. So that 2.7 was the largest one here. Next, coming across, Arizona's clear. Utah has, let's get these others off the map. Utah is showing 2, a 2.0 at Beaver, and a 1.6 at Mona. Then in the Yellowstone area, we've got 10 here today. Here's a quarry blast, a 1.7 quarry blast at Butte, Montana at 12:22 this afternoon. The rest are regular earthquakes, so I'm just going to call them off. 1.6 Helena Valley, northeast. Then we had a cluster at West Yellowstone, a 0.4, a 0.4, and a 0.3. And that's all at West Yellowstone. Then a 1.9 at Afton, 2.9 at Lincoln, that's getting up there, a 1.2 at Dillon, and a 0.8 Virginia City, and a 1.0 Virginia City. So the largest was that 2.9 near Lincoln. So that's showing activity. Then coming into the Pacific Northwest, we're seeing, first of all, we got one off the coast of this Vancouver Island, a 1.9 near Tofino, Canada, at 12:30 this afternoon. Now, when we look at the tremor map, the last couple of days we were seeing tremors up here on Vancouver Island, and we're seeing tremors here today, or yesterday as well. This is from yesterday, and this is the latest data that we have. It's showing, wait a minute, let me refresh, 43 tremors, and they're grouped, and they're on this Vancouver Island, and they're up here near Mount St. Helens, and then down here in the Shasta region of California. So the tremors from yesterday were right around in here, and then here's a 1.9 earthquake off the coast. And we can see, like where this tectonic plate line comes down, we've got earthquakes peppered around. We normally don't see them coming all the way down here. And then we've got several on this Juan de Fuca plate, and then then we've got some on the east side as well. So we've got that one, and then we've got one at Amboy at 0.1, that's Mount St. Helens, at 12:11 this morning. It was in the crater, looks like. And then on this Juan de Fuca plate, we've got some pretty good sized ones. We had a 4.1 at 8:15 this morning, another 4.1. This came in at 3:32 this afternoon, and a 3.7 that came in at 3:42 this afternoon. Then down here at the southern end of the Juan de Fuca plate was a 3.1 at 6:17 this morning. Then on land here was a 1.7 near Cave Junction, Oregon. So that's near where we've seen some of these tremors as well. Then coming on down into Northern California, we've got some activity just moving across. I'm going to start here. We're going to do the geysers. Well, let's go ahead and do the geysers in this area. Here's a 1.5 at Roseland. Let's look at the geysers. We're showing 75 here today. Now that's a huge number. We normally see maybe 30, 25 to 30. But that's a huge number. And the largest one was a 3.2 at the geysers. Well, Cobb and the geysers, it's all in the same area. So 75, 3.2 is the highest. It looks like most of them were ones or under, in the ones range or under. There's that 3.2 that came in last night at 8:04 p.m. Then we've got two 1.8 at Redwood Valley and a 1.4 at Willits. They were right next to each other. Now Shasta is, the Shasta Lake is right here. Mount Shasta is here. Now the other group of tremors we saw were around here in this area. And this is near this fulcrum point where all these red lines come together. So there's a lot of pressure that goes on up here. Then there was one to the west of Chico, a 1.7 near Hamilton at 1:24 this morning. Now this is of interest because it's near the Oroville Lake right here, and the Oroville Dam is just to the west of that. Here's Oroville. And then here was a 1.1 near Portola and a 0.7 near Portola. Then here was one to the west of Pyramid Lake, a 0.7. And then coming on across in Nevada, a 1.2 to the east of Fallon. Then a couple down here in the Hawthorne area, a couple of small ones. And then in southern Nevada, we've got this 3, 4 here at Alamo. It looks like they're stacked. A 2.1, minus 0.2, a 0.2, and a 2.0. So we've seen some larger earthquakes here recently. Then coupled, looks like this is Goldfield, 1.7 and so forth. Here's a 0.6 at Pioche. Remember we saw that cluster over here the last couple of days. And we saw that a 3.0 up here at Battle Mountain yesterday. So that's clear. Now let's go to California, a 1.2 near Columbia, California. This is coming right down the center. A 1.9 near Fremont. Here's a 1.8 near Porterville. At Mammoth Lakes, we've got 5 here today. The highest is a 1.2. There's a 0.9 at Big Pine, 1.2 Olancha, 1.8 Porterville, we saw that. That's it down there. Got 2 south of Bakersfield, a 1.9 and a 1.3. This is at Grapevine. Remember, we saw that cluster here yesterday. And here's a 0.6 at Pear Blossom. So in Southern California, we're seeing 35 here today. So that's kind of a lower number. But that's kind of an average number as well. Here's some quarry blasts at 0.8 at Woodcrest and a 1.7 at Home Gardens. Here's a 2.0 at Julian, 1.0 and a 0.4. Just like to see what's going on with the clusters. Here's a 2.0 at Ocotillo. Here's Glen Avon. We're showing 4 on the map here today. 1.7 is the highest. So that's calmed down. Let's see if there's anything else in Southern California. No, it doesn't look like it. Now let's come up this fault line. This is the San Andreas fault line. Here's a 1.6 near New Idria, 1.3 Pinnacles, 1.1 Tres Pinos, and 2 quarry blasts right here. 1.1 at Prunedale at 8:08 this morning, and a 1.4 at Prunedale at 11:20 this morning. So 1 blast wasn't enough. They had to have 2 to blast what they wanted to blast. And here's a 1.5 at Roseland. So I think that's it. A lot of activity. Okay, what just came in up here? This is at Kobuk, 2.1. Just came in at Kobuk. I think that's it for our earthquake and volcano report today. So I think we're in the end times, and I recommend everyone get your spiritual house in order. And we're seeing definitely an uptick in the number of earthquakes today and the magnitudes. So we'll keep an eye on everything, and I'll keep reporting as long as I can. And I report because Jesus said to his followers, to his disciples, they asked him what would be the signs of the second coming, when he would come again. And he said one of the signs would be earthquakes in diverse places. I've read that passage from the Bible for you guys. Also wars and rumors of wars, earthquakes in diverse places, and there were some other things. But we need to keep an eye on the pulse of Mother Earth. So earthquakes and volcanoes, that's the pulse. We can definitely see what's going on. So until next time, I hope everyone is staying safe and getting your spiritual house in order. So God bless you. Go in peace, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.